Hi, this is Becca coming to you from the FCC with another women-centric ZRL Recon. This is week 5 of season 18. It's a points race on cobbled climbs in Richmond. So a little TLDR, and then we're going to do a little bit more in-depth analysis today. The TLDR is this race is going to be about attrition. For the A's and B's, you're going to be hitting these 2 climbs 8 times in 4 laps, and for the C's and the D's, you're going to be hitting them 6 times in 3 laps. So it's going to be a long race, and even though it's a points race, there's going to be a lot of destruction from the fallout of doing these 2 back-to-back KOMs. I think that you might want to let power-ups dictate your team moves if you are thinking about team tactics, because we have a special allocation of power-ups in this course where the burrito and the ghost are going to enter the picture, and there are no feathers available. So I also think that you shouldn't give up on catching groups if you fall off, especially if you're a diesel and you just don't have the punch for Libby Hill. You should keep going and try to collect on the downhills. So groups will tend to slow after the 2 segments each lap, and so I expect Governor's Climb to be a little less intense, and then you got a little flat and then a little downhill. So keep pushing if you want to make it back to that group. Now we're going to take a look at something a teammate of mine put together, as well as some of Eric Schlange's also awesome charts from Swift Insider. These pie charts really show you that first across the line is the name of the game, which means you want to stay with as front a group as possible throughout the race in order to grab as many of these points as possible. But you also want to make sure your team is able to stay with as front a group as possible throughout the race. So my teammate did this great breakdown of how much time each group should expect to be climbing in each lap. This is based on an analysis of a women's race that had each of these categories. So it might vary for some of the leagues, and it is only a guideline. But as you can see, for the A's, they're likely to spend about 30% of their time climbing, and that's across all 3 climbs, versus the D's that are spending about 40% of their time climbing. So that's a big difference, and I think that that should be taken into account when you're looking at your bike setup. So even though I said that I want to use my upgraded SL8 and my 4.5s, if you're going to spend more time climbing, you might want to look at a more climby bike and a more climby setup. If you are in the tip of the spear in the A's and you're a great climber, then maybe put a disc on, and that'll help you with the downhills and the flats. So time to break it up and look at where your strengths lie. Okay, so here we have the course notes. This is just 1 lap of cobbled climbs and set up for this race specifically. So you can see the power-ups at the top. You have a 25% chance at each banner of getting a ghost, burrito, draft van, or aero helmet. Remember, the aero helmet helps the most when you're going the fastest, and the draft van is going to be of little effect when you're going slowest and the grade is steepest. So to maximize these, I would suggest using them in spots where you're going faster. For the burrito, it's the opposite. So if you are all stretched out in a line, for instance, the top of either of the KOMs, if you've got someone behind you from another team, that's the time to drop it. A ghost I think of as a offensive weapon. If you can use it well as a team, then you can send a rider off the front, or you can fake out the group and press a ghost power-up and try to get them to react to nothing. So that's your choice. We have 3 banners in each lap here where you're going to get a power-up, and 2 segments per lap. So the beginning of the lap should be fairly gentle. It's going to be flat and then downhill pretty much for the first 5 kilometers. In the downhill, you need to make sure to watch your positioning if you're trying to super tuck, because you will need to come out of it in the middle, or you might lose your position. There's a 180-degree turn at 4.7 kilometers. That's really the lead-in to Libby Hill, and Libby Hill starts out pretty gentle, but if you are not a climber and this is not your hill, then I would suggest going early or at least being at the front of the group as it hits the starting line so you can fall back. If you're going for FTS and you're great at this climb, the opposite, you want to start in the back and really hit that 5.2 kilometer mark at great speed coming from the back of the pack. So you're going to hit the cobbles at 5.6 kilometers. The KOM is in total 640 meters at an average grade of 6%. And FTS and FAL are available each time through. So FTS is only top 5 times through that KOM over the entire race. FAL goes down to the last rider every time through. So FAL, name of the game. And you pick up a power up at the top. Then you hit a downhill immediately followed by 23rd Street. 23rd Street is essentially a really long sprint. So even though it's uphill and it is an average of 9.3%, it is only 260 meters. So as long as you hit the bottom at speed, it's not that long. So probably 25 seconds for the A's, maybe 45 seconds for the D's, but you will get over it, I promise. Again, FAL, and FTS are available, and you get a power up at the banner. You're going to then head downhill until the last climb on Governor's Street. Governor's Street is a little bit tricky because it's not a segment, but it will be a point at which moves are made on each lap. I'm pretty confident on that. It is about 600 kilometers. 600 kilometers. Well, that would suck. 600 meters, hitting 7% in some places for 50 to 60 meters. So it is not that draftable, but it's also, again, not a segment. So just keep pushing as much as you can. So then you're going to take a left-hand turn and the lap banner is right there. So you either start over or you're almost done. So just remember to keep pushing till the line. There is longer than you think from that corner to the banner. So good luck, everyone. Have fun. Let me know if you have any questions, and see you next week for one last recon.